guys. Welcome back to the Attachment Point News Roundtable with maybe the best pair of shirts we've had on here. I might be biased, but I feel like we're doing pretty good today. So this can be a good episode. I got Andrew Correll, a great buddy of mine, put together a phenomenal podcast, works for a very cool company that helps insure startups. And thank you for even, trusting me with a little home and auto policy as well, Andrew. You're the man. How are you,
Yes,
sir?
Indeed. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome back. I love the repeat guests. It's awesome. So, but yeah, I think off the top, season 2's coming up for, Insurance Requirements podcast with a little bit more of a rounded focus. It sounds like what are you diving into?
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to take it in a little different direction and kind of like playing off of season 1. So season 1 of the pod, mainly talking to startup founders and asking them, kind of like what was your insurance buying experience? How did you come to it? Was it an insurance requirement? Was it, kind of something that was on your mind from the start to protect your business? And, like trying to find, different ways that people's experiences were different and letting the broader audience kind of know what to expect, things that could be better, things that went really well. And so kind of going outside of that, we've kind of like hit the insurance part of it, right? Like risk management is part insurance, right? Risk transfer, but there's so many other things that you can do to manage risk that don't involve buying an insurance policy. And so that's kind of like the nexus for this next batch of episodes is to talk more broadly about risk management, things that you can do in your business that can help, kind of protect. So wanted to talk to founders again, right? Like talked about specific risks that they've faced and how they've overcome them, but also kind of practitioners in the professional services space that serve startups, whether that's like cyber information security, consulting and things like that, or even just, things like setting up really good employment practices, right? Like having your people feel, uncomfortable or not, really welcomed, right? That's a big risk to your business too, right? Like if all of your best people leave, what do you have left? So yeah, and kind of like doing a little offshoot from a branding perspective. So, this season is going to be called Beyond the Policy, kind of a nod to this isn't really insurance talk anymore. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on.
I like it a lot. And I'll do I hope you don't mind, I'll do a little bit of a behind the veil conversation for people interested in startups or thinking about it. I like Bill Simmons a lot, and he'll have like 3 points and he'll just let it riff and roll. And you can tell if you listen to anything I'm involved in, it's a little all over the place. But you like the Malcolm Gladwell, more like serial kind of, let's do this deep dive for a while, then let's do this deep dive. And it's so cool how there's different ways people can get into this game and create things,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I kind of look at it like, I'll keep talking to people as long as there's new points of view to be had, right? I felt like after, doing 10 episodes around insurance procurement, there's a lot of like recurring themes. And, I kind of felt that, having that same conversation wouldn't be beneficial any longer. And so, kind of top of mind for me is like, bringing fresh perspectives and, really kind of like new content to people and answer questions that maybe haven't been answered before.
No, that's cool. And before we hit record too, I mentioned having the experience of standing up a brokerage, small things like Squarespace, Google Suite, like, first with the DBA, then the LLC. There's so many things that go into like structuring a company, even going through your first year of taxes, that there's just cool things that you can kind of lend to other people later that in hindsight are kind of obvious to you. But when you're kind of going through it for the first time, feels like unpacking, some sort of puzzle, I guess. And none of it's too hard. It's pretty cool how, people are incentivized to like create small business in the States. It's, I think, fairly pro business. There's definitely some red tape, but, they give you some cool upsides. It's kind of funny. It's like the government rewards the things they want. Like you have a baby, here's a discount. You buy a home, here's a discount. Spend money to create jobs, here's a discount.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Exactly. And kind of where we are in kind of where we are in startup creation and things like that. I mean, you look at data on funding, right? Like startup funding is continuing its meteoric rise, right? So that just means that more and more people are kind of taking that risk. And, part of doing that deep dive is, talking to people who've been there before, right? And so these conversations are happening every day, 1-to-1, 2-to-1 sometimes. So it's how can we bring those conversations to the masses so that, it's the beauty of the internet, right? Like decentralized information. And so it's kind of like, the stuff that I'm trying to create is just those conversations that are going to be had and will be had continuously, and just, like a cool place to hang out.
No, totally. And then with Vouch too, building products for startups has got to be pretty interesting. I've sold into a couple. They're always different. The ones I've worked on have been pretty small most of the time. And it's fun. It's fun trying to translate, their risk into their insurance need. You're the one who taught me, like, who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? I don't care what you tell me. It's like,
Yeah.
How do you make your money and who are you taking care of? I don't care if you say you're X, thank you for, teaching me a little bit of underwriting. Yeah.
Yeah. You answer those 3 questions and you're going to be pretty dangerous. You've got a pretty good understanding of the picture. And so, startups are like a little different, right? The who do you do it for is like pretty typical, but like the how, like how is the business structured? What is kind of like unique about a startup? So those are some of the problems that we're trying to solve at Vouch, is, really taking, for the most part, like early stage startups in the general insurance world are not catered to with the level of like care that we believe is needed, just because of the uniqueness of kind of how they're structured, what they're all about, what they're trying to do, and specifically like how quickly they're looking to grow. You look at kind of like how that is underwritten in the general marketplace, and you've got like insurance applications that are given to like large Fortune 500 companies, the same as like a startup, right? And so we know those are different. They operate a little differently. So that's kind of our approach. Yeah.
It's painful for my agent hat, trying to get like somebody who's got like a $1,500 premium, like no money coming in yet, to fill like an 8-page supplemental, talks about number of records, number of files, all this stuff. It's rough. You feel like with startups, especially small ones, you're trying to like, definitely square peg round hole problems all day long, good enough, like they do this, but it kind of does this, like one company I work with, for instance, is like AI driven security cameras. And we totally just had to manipulate something else, to get us there. It's tough when they're little. So it's really cool the work you guys are up to over there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's just a different operation, even before the pandemic made a lot of the workforce kind of disparate. This was not something new to the startup world. You had more and more companies that were like working remotely, like natively. And so, traditional insurance policies are really crafted for the brick and mortar 4 walls. And you are at this point, and it's a fixed location in the world. And that's where we're gonna, kind of like start from. And it's like, well, wait a minute, like that doesn't work for all tech startups. So like, how can we do that differently? So that's kind of like really kind of where things got started.
Yeah, it's fun. And then from your podcast, and then now to Vouch too, like working with founders, talking to founders is really fun and exciting. Like I love it. I don't know if it's like the salesman in me, or like for some reason I grew up around a lot of people who are like sons of small business owners, but there's a certain like warmth and like toughness to these guys and girls and ladies, who are just going out there to create something net new and just, fight for the funding, fight for the customers, fix the problems, as Jason Canis would say, like, there's a problem, F you, solve it. There's a problem, F you, solve it. You just got to roll through the punches to kind of climb to the top of the mountain. That's really cool.
Yeah, at heart, like what you're doing here, what I do on the podcast, like we're creators, right? And like, what is a startup founder if not a creator, right? They're problem solvers, but they're also like doing it in a creative way. So I think that's where the kind of like kindred spirits come from. Like we kind of see that in everybody. It's like, oh, you're a creator too. Like I dig this.
Well, I feel fortunate. I just got kind of roped in by the Podfather, and then he slowly like kind of snuck out the side door, was like, here, this is yours. And at first it was intimidating. I was like, can I talk to that many people about insurance? Are there that many people like to make this really a topic? And it's been awesome. Yeah, I've worked on a few other projects, worked on a few things behind the scenes. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with my podcast next. I'm not ready to like unwind it, but I also feel like I have a few like ducks to get in a row. That's the other thing on this content creation stuff, like consistency, but also kind of know what matters. Like you got to get rolling at Vouch, you have a few other things, got a little kiddo, sometimes like content, but I don't know if content's always like king, like sometimes you got to like get the house in order, then you can put on the show,
Oh, of course.
yeah, but the consistency is good. And I've taken 3 months off before, like start of the pandemic, and then came back for Insurance Nerds. Didn't matter, like consistency is good, but the world keeps turning without us if we need a break too.
Yeah, we don't have like much gravitational pull, but the topics and the stuff that we do, and there'll always be a place for it for sure.
Yeah, no, to encourage other people to create, like $30 mic, Apple computer, iMovie, exporting an audio file to Simplecast, like it doesn't have to be hugely arduous either, behind the scenes and then I just export the audio out of iMovie, but if it's a video one like this, do the whole file, just load up to YouTube. It's even easier, the bars. Yeah, it's a low bar to entry, and just you work hard, make quality product. How about the InsurTech scene in Austin? You've been taking that over, right? You're going to be running their community up pretty soon.
Yeah, it's been fun. So I mean, the InsurTech ATX meetup group got started, I want to say back in 2016 by a gentleman, Miguel Fernandez, and he always talks about they start out in a conference room, a handful of people, just talking shop and grab a beer afterwards. And he and a number of other folks have kind of steadily grew that community over the years. I met them in 2018. Yeah, I think it was like 2018. And yeah, just like took an immediate liking to everybody. It was a really, really cool, infectious community, great energy. And like right at the start of the pandemic, Miguel kind of reached out to me. He was looking to kind of like step back from like the day-to-day organization. And so he reached out to me. He's like, hey man, like, would you be a steward and, kind of like take us forward? And so I was like, heck yeah, that sounds amazing. And then, of course, with the pandemic, what it was, we were kind of out of commission for the better part of 18 months. But yeah, no, we had a happy hour back in July, and, we're getting back into kind of like regular cadence of monthly meetups, really cool content. So we're welcoming in the folks from Loop. They get they're launching in Texas their personal auto product on August 18th. And so we're having them kind of like walk us through their journey and what it means to build, honest, transparent personal auto insurance for the 21st century. So Carrie Ann and John are going to come by and kind of we'll do part celebration, part talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool. And yeah, going forward, just like kind of once a month, bringing in interesting folks to have interesting conversations.
And you got one of my ringer buddies in there coming up soon. Lonnie Hill's coming for you. The Hippo's finest.
Yeah, no, I'm ready for him.
He's a really good dude.
San Antonio, that's where I grew up, so it's lots of connection there.
No, heck yeah. And then also we finally got you on InsurTech Twitter a little bit. It's sneaky good, right? There's a lot kind of bubbling on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Change of pace.
Oh, heck yeah, buddy. No, it's good stuff. So no, just a lot brewing. And, it's funny you leading that group. I have Broker Brews, which I need to fire back up. The other thing I always encourage people is like, it doesn't take that much more effort to lead something than it does to participate well. And like the upside to leading something sneaky great, I hate to say it, but people think you have things going on and you have things figured out if you're leading. Little do they know, we're all still working on it. We're all work in progress, but
we're all just, we're all just trying to figure it out. And like you say, you kind of like show up with your face in enough places, people start to just accept it, that's where you are. So I just like with anything, I just keep showing up and good things.
Yeah. Well, just being positive, trying to bring a little bit of something to the table. Yeah, Galad runs a great InsurTech LA program for us, and he's got some awesome professionals that come out. I tried to do an InsurTech group around Orange County, like circa 2018, and just like me and one buddy for like 6 months, and then it turned into Broker Brews. I think the market was a little small. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the big thing, it's like you just gotta be self-aware, and if you need to pivot, you need to pivot. This
Oh yeah.
it's about serving the community, and if the community is not ready for it, well then, hey, that's cool. We'll still be here.
Or if you can't do it at the time, like I had something called OC Startup Hub, and I thought if we could help Fineo here, maybe get like a TO Startup Hub going in Toronto, but like just got too busy, like so I wound that down. Sometimes projects just won't click and they won't be a fit today, so you got to be willing to like have little losers too. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk talking the other day. He's talking about all his projects he folded. It made me feel a little better about all my like half starts. But I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and this is kind of like, part of like my favorite part about startups, and you don't hear a lot about it, is the ones that don't work, right? I mean, you always hear like, oh, fail fast, you learn from your failures, but it's like, well, let's talk about that a little more, because I think there's like it's common knowledge that like that's where the nuggets of wisdom and experience come from. And so just having those conversations, like, the ones that you know about, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah. I'm talking to one of Fineo's advisors today, and he's a seasoned guy, retired, and he's just kind of helping us out with a few things. And we're going to have one of those talks where it's like, okay, I see what's on LinkedIn. I see what the presented story is. What really is going on? What have you done? What's your background like?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to one of those, because those conversations are always kind of more fun. And also, yeah, we're all figuring out. The other thing you'd mentioned, the guy asked you to take over the Austin InsurTech startup scene.
Mm-hmm.
I've a little bit more public with this now, but before I started my own brokerage, I actually got fired. So I kind of got shoved into it. That guy pushed you into it. You did have the initiative to bug me, about the pod. Nick kind of brought me into it. I think a lot of it's being open to when the doors come or the opportunities come, because as humans, I think we're a little scared, like it's hard to venture into new stuff. And I think sometimes your hand gets forced. I was at a table with 3 great insurance professionals, and all of them got fired before starting their own brokerages, and they're all making really good money now. So it's so funny how many people don't even choose to get into the game as much as the game's just brought to them, for one reason or another, they weren't a great fit in the box, and then they had to go create their own, and they just had the tenacity to keep going,
Of course. I mean, like what is that? Luck is just opportunity meeting preparedness or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds lucky, but like, even if it's shoved upon you, if you're not ready for it, and kind of doing the work beforehand to be just kind of like ready,
Well, I always had like 5 to 9s that I was going to try to use to get out of the 9 to 5, but I'm not sure when I would have had the boldness to make the leap without sort of having like a rough work situation. Like in the back of my mind, I always would have been trying to do something, but would I have ever bought in, and that's like that's the crazy thing. I always think of it like poker. Like you just can't get, asked out. You just got to have some chips, like
exactly
place bets, but leave something in the storage for later,
Heck yeah, gotta have something,
I did say think philosophically as like an athlete. Luckily, it never got hurt. Like kind of wind up a little bit, wind down. Never try not to pin it unless you really have to. Just like keep going, keep trucking. Says the guy who's putting in Strava like once a week right now. No, but I'm really thrilled for you, man. I know your wife recently started an MBA program. You got a little baby. You don't sound bored. Whenever we talk, you don't sound like you're looking for things to do. So
yeah, man. No, there's always something going on, and yeah, it's pretty wild. Like wife and I were talking like when she was pregnant. It's kind of like what kind of like parents do we want to be, and we always kind of like fall back on the we want to lead by example. So it's like we want to. Like want to be the multi-hyphenates, like we don't necessarily just want to be doing one thing, and we could very easily just fall into like creature comforts and things like that. But it's like, well, if it doesn't hurt, you're not growing type of deal. We like to seek out that discomfort from time to time, and that's well, all sorts of fun stuff are happening because of it. So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, no, my mom got a master's while we were little kids. She ran a printing brokerage for a while. But yeah, they were always hustling, multiple jobs. Both parents were kind of little latchkey kids, and I think we're all grinders now. Like my older brother's like head of ops for a cool startup. My little brother does finance sales, kind of helps run a dealership. I got my hand in a few things. I think, yeah, seeing your parents hustle and grind kind of put that in us. My mom would yell, like, what are you doing? Like, it was never okay to be doing nothing. I had to be like cleaning a room, did something else. So I think got wired early just to be active,
Yes,
good for bad, keep us in trouble. That's funny, dude. My trick to being busy, but keeping it somewhat organized is I try to do everything through Google. So I'll have multiple Google emails and I can cycle them on my phone. And then I try to block my calendar. One calendar will block scheduling for Finale. The other one's more like tasks, but I use Google Blocks on them. So if I can't read on my phone on like one day, I'm trying to do too much. So I try to keep an eye on that. That's like a small trick. Having the Broker Brett Hub email kind of works because it works for personal, business, whatever else. A lot of stuff can fall back to that. A few little happy accidents, along the way. So yeah. But yeah, the other trick is just saying like, sure, opportunities go, sure, okay, why not? We'll figure this out. We'll do what we need to do to get it done. No, heck yeah, man. I'm excited for season 2 of your podcast.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, we've got some cool stuff in the hopper. Some big news that I'm working on, kind of like finalizing. So more to come there. But yeah, we've got a lot of folks that are excited to come talk about their experiences and kind of share with the broader community. But yeah, it should be fun. Like all the way from like company formation up to exits and everything in between. So it's going to be a fun conversation. So look forward to it.
I can tell you the secret on that one. I'll break it. It involves lawyers, both ends. It's a lot of lawyers, insurance, maybe talking to a banker. What else? Shares, a little bit of housekeeping, and like, a little bit of shining a flashlight. You spent money on what? That's not cool. You guys got to stop paying for that.
For sure. Floorboards.
Yeah, that's funny. And then selfishly, I want to get out to Austin at some point, visit you and Lonnie. We'll give the people a heads up. Maybe we'll plan it a couple months out or something. But it'd be awesome to come visit you guys, hang out there, talk startups, eat some barbecue.
That'll be fun. Yeah, we're trying to put something together. I was talking to Andrew Daniels from InsurTech Ohio, and he's like, we gotta put something together. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe there'll be a InsurTech across America or something like that.
Dude, I'm down. I know Galad would participate. Becky Monfrey from Grange, she's one of our InsurTech runners. She wanted to do something out in Orange County. We can coordinate somewhere though. Austin sounds like as good a place as any. Yeah,
it's right in the middle of the country, more or less. So let's all descend on Austin.
Yeah, cheap flights from here. And then the other part is it was funny when I was like kind of back in my mind, like an OC event. I was like, it's a lot, but if we collaborated between like Ohio, Texas, myself, we could put our heads together. We can figure it out.
Oh, of course. InsurTech's everywhere. InsurTech Denver. You got LA, New York, Hartford.
We could call it InsurTech Country Connection. Just kidding. I was trying to come up with something close to ITC. That wasn't ITC. Those guys are awesome. No, it'll be fun, man. We'll keep noodling and figure out how to cause some trouble together.
Heck yeah.
But dude, thank you for your time today. I can't wait to watch listen to season 2. And dude, thanks for helping round out our knowledge base.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Later, guys.